If I'm honest with you, the fastest way to make an avoidant love you madly isn't to chase them. It isn't to text them at midnight. It isn't to bleed on the page for them and hope they finally see you. The fastest way, the strongest force, is to hurt the one thing they've spent their entire life protecting, their ego, not cruelly, not childishly, not by weaponizing what they told you in a soft moment at 2 a.m. when they let their guard slip. I mean the deeper hurt, the good hurt, the kind that makes a human being sit up in bed at 3 in the morning and finally feel the outline of who they've been avoiding, themselves. Listen, I've worked with a lot of people, and I mean a lot. Different countries, different rooms, different pain. And every single time I meet a human being who calls themselves avoidant, or who's been in love with one, I see the same architecture underneath. It isn't coldness, it's a wall. And the wall was built for a reason. Somebody, somewhere, taught them that needing was dangerous, that reaching was humiliating, that the safest human being is the one who never gets caught wanting. So they trained themselves, over years, over decades, to be the one who leaves first, the one who cares less, the one who doesn't flinch. And you, my friend, walked into that fortress with your soft hands, and you thought love would be enough. It isn't. Love is never enough on its own. Love without understanding is just noise at the gate. Here's the truth. You don't experience an avoidant. You experience the story you tell yourself about the avoidant. There's a million signals coming at you from this person every single day, and most of them you'll never notice because your focus is glued to the ones that hurt. The unanswered text, the half turn away when you leaned in, the plan they broke on Friday, and you replay those. You loop them. And meanwhile, they did 17 small things that were reaches. A song they sent, a coffee they remembered, a look they held 1/2 second too long. And you missed every one of them because your focus was somewhere else. We don't experience life. We experience the life we focus on. Change what you focus on, and this whole person, this whole dynamic, transforms in front of you. But that's not the real point. The real point is what's happening inside them, because an avoidant doesn't run from you. They run from the version of themselves they become when they're near you. Let me say that again. They don't run from you. They run from who they become around you. When you love an avoidant well, you hold up a mirror. And in that mirror, they see somebody soft, somebody needing, somebody who could be left, somebody who could be seen. And every alarm in their nervous system that got wired at age 6, age 8, age 12 starts screaming, "Get out, get out, get out." This is the part where you get hurt. So they leave, not because you're too much, because they are too much for themselves in your presence. Now listen to me carefully. There's 3 decisions you make every moment of your life. And if you understand these 3 decisions, you don't just understand avoidance. You understand every human being who's ever walked away from something that could have been beautiful. The first decision is what you focus on. Focus is the master key. Focus is the lens. Focus determines everything. You can be sitting in the same room with the same person, and one of you is focused on how they didn't reach for your hand, and the other is focused on the fact that they came home tonight, and those 2 people are living in 2 different universes. The second decision is what it means, because focus without meaning is nothing. If they don't text back for 6 hours and you decide it means they're bored of you, you feel one thing. If they don't text back for 6 hours and you decide it means they're wrestling with how much they feel, you feel something entirely different. Same event, 2 meanings, 2 lives. The third decision is what you do, because meaning without action is just thought spiraling in the dark. Action is where identity is built. Action is where the story becomes true. Focus, meaning, action, that's the whole game. Not just with avoidance, with your business, with your body, with your grief, with everything. Now what does that mean to you? It means the moment you stop chasing the avoidant and start choosing your own state, something ancient shifts in them. Because, and I want you to see this, an avoidant has spent their entire life around people who lose themselves at the first sign of intimacy. People who beg, people who bargain, people who cling. And their whole nervous system reads that clinging is danger, because the person who clings will resent them later. So when you, one time, in the middle of your longing, decide to be the one who stands still, not cold, not cruel, not weaponizing distance, but genuinely rooted in your own life, your own purpose, your own joy. You hurt their ego in the most beautiful way possible. Because their ego whispered to them their whole life, you are irresistible because you leave first. And now, for the first time, somebody didn't chase them out the door. Somebody stayed calm. Somebody kept living. And their ego cracks, not shatters, cracks. And through that crack, love gets in. It's not manipulation. It's not being intelligent. It's not virtue signaling. It's what you know inside your soul is true. You can't chase a wounded animal into your arms. You have to become the ground they trust to step onto. And here's what I know. Most people reading this, most people listening to this right now, you've been doing the exact opposite. You've been performing your love. You've been auditioning. You've been sending the paragraph. You've been over-explaining. You've been apologizing for things you didn't even do wrong. And every single one of those moves confirms the story their ego wrote about you before they even met you. That you would be one more person who needed too much. You didn't hurt their ego. You fed it. You gave it exactly what it expected. And an ego, when it's fed what it expects, doesn't fall in love. It gets bored. You want to know why? Because the ego doesn't love what it can predict. The ego loves what it cannot own. That's the whole thing. An avoidance ego was built to own the room emotionally by being the one who cared least. The moment you show them, without cruelty, without games, without cold shoulder theater, that you care about your own life more than you care about winning theirs, the entire dynamic inverts. They wake up one Tuesday morning and realize they can't predict you. They realize you're not orbiting them. They realize you have gravity of your own. And gravity, my friend, is the single most attractive force in any human dynamic. Not need, gravity. Now let me be honest with you. I began with anger. I mean it. As a young man, my fuel was rage. At my mother, at the men she brought home, at the food we didn't have, at the Christmas somebody else's family gave us because ours wouldn't. That fuel worked. For a while, it drove me across the country. It drove me into rooms I had no business being in. And then one day it ran out. And I realized push fuel, the anger, the something to prove, the I'll show them, that fuel has a shelf life. It burns hot, and it burns fast, and it burns you along with it. What lasts is pull fuel. Purpose, contribution, love that isn't about you. And I only tell you this because the reason you keep chasing this avoidant isn't love, it's push fuel. It's the little kid inside you who once wasn't picked, who once wasn't chosen, who once wasn't held long enough, and who has decided silently, unconsciously, that if you can just get this one difficult person to choose you, the whole ledger will balance. It won't. It never does. Not with them. Not with the next one. Not with anybody. The ledger only balances when you decide, on your own, that you are already worth choosing. And the strange, beautiful, almost cosmic joke of it is, the moment you stop needing them to prove it, they start proving it on their own. You can't lose what you deserve. And you can't earn what you don't feel worthy of. Read that twice. Here's an analogy for you. If you want to take the island, you have to burn your boats. You know the story. The army lands on the shore. The general looks at his men, half of them already glancing back at the water, already calculating retreat. And he gives the order, burn the boats. Not because he hates his men, because he loves them enough to remove the escape route, because he knows a man with an exit will fight half-heartedly. A man with no exit fights like his life depends on it. Because it does. And you, in this dynamic with the avoidant, you've been keeping your boats. You've been keeping the paragraph in your drafts. You've been keeping the escape plan of maybe I'll reach out one more time. You've been keeping the low-grade hope that another late-night confession will finally crack them open. Burn those boats. Not the relationship, the strategies. Burn the strategies that were built out of your fear. Land on the shore of your own life and decide you are staying. That's when they see somebody worth chasing. Not because you're playing a game, because you finally aren't. Here's another one. Think of Steph Curry, 500 shots a day, 7 days a week, 15 years, 2 million shots to become the shooter you see on television. And you look at him and you think, natural, gifted, chosen, he knows better. He knows every ounce of what looks effortless was earned in an empty gym at 6 in the morning when nobody was clapping. That's what it takes to change how you show up in love. Not one grand gesture. Not one perfectly worded text. 2 million small reps of choosing yourself before you choose the outcome. 2 million small moments of feeling the urge to reach out and instead going for a walk, calling your mother, opening the book, doing the thing that makes you the person you actually want to be. You fool no one, especially not an avoidant, with a grand gesture built on a shaky foundation. But you disarm every avoidant on the planet when they meet somebody who has quietly, patiently, over months and years become unshakable. Small reps every day. That's the fastest way, which is really the simplest way, which is really the only way. So what's behind all this pain you feel right now? It's your state, your mental, your emotional state. And your state right now is not being caused by them. I know it feels like it is. I know every cell in your body is telling you they are the problem, that if they would just change, just text back, just choose you, you would feel okay. That is a beautiful lie your nervous system tells you to keep you from doing the hard work. Because if it's their fault, you don't have to change. And if you don't have to change, you don't have to feel the terror of becoming somebody new. Quality of life is the quality of your emotions. And your emotions right now are being generated inside you by what you focus on, by what you make it mean, by what you do next. Not by them. Never by them. And the moment you own that, you stop being a victim of any avoidant, any narcissist, any human who ever failed to love you the way you needed to be loved. Now let me give you something that I want you to sit with, because it might be the most important thing I say in this whole conversation. If you suffered as a kid, and I don't know your story, but the title brought you here, so something in you knows if you suffered as a kid, you might still be carrying it. And you probably spent years framing that suffering as the reason you can't have love, the reason you keep picking unavailable people, the reason your heart is broken. But here's what happens when the adult version of you turns around and finally looks the kid version in the eye. Everything you thought was a wound turns out to have been a handbook of survival in disguise. The fact that you were alone in childhood means as an adult you are self-sufficient. The fact that nobody supported you means you have no fear of working on your own. The fact that you learned early to read the room, to sense the mood, to know before anyone spoke whether it was safe, that isn't a curse. That is a gift most people will never have. You have a sensitivity, a perceptiveness, an emotional intelligence that people go to therapy for 20 years trying to develop. You developed it at age 7 because you had to. Stop calling that damage. Start calling it what it actually is, equipment. And once you hold your equipment, instead of resenting it, you walk into every relationship, including this one with an avoidant, from a completely different place. Not from lack, from gift. And a person carrying a gift instead of a wound is magnetic in a way that no strategy on this earth can imitate. That's the passage I needed you to feel. Sit with it. Let it land. Because here's what I know. An avoidant does not fall in love with somebody who needs them. An avoidant falls in love with somebody who doesn't. It sounds paradoxical, but it isn't. It's the deepest logic of the human heart. We are drawn to what we sense is complete without us. Because completeness is safe. Completeness won't consume us. Completeness won't punish us for pulling away. And when you finally do the work of becoming complete, not perfect, not healed in some fantasy way, but genuinely at home in your own skin, the avoidant in your life feels it before you say a single word. Their nervous system reads it, their ego reads it. And their ego, which has spent its whole life being the one who was less invested, suddenly finds itself in a room with somebody less invested than they are. Not in a game way, in a rooted way. And it undoes them, because now for the first time, they aren't the one holding the power. And an avoidant who isn't holding the power has only 2 moves left. Run harder, or fall in love. And if you have been genuinely, non-performatively, gorgeously in your own life, 99 times out of 100, they choose to fall in love. Not because you hurt them. Because their ego finally met something bigger than itself and it was allowed to lay down its arms. That's what people don't tell you. It's not ability, it's motive. It's not tactics, it's identity. It's not strategy, it's soul. If you focus on what you can't control, your energy goes there and it dies there. If you control what you focus on, you control your life. Both worlds exist. The external one, which you can only influence, and the internal one, which you can command. Most people spend their entire romantic lives trying to control the external, trying to control what the avoidant does, thinks, texts, feels, while completely abandoning the internal, which is the only place they had power all along. Flip it. Right now. Flip it. Command the internal. Influence the external. Watch what happens. So here is your drill. One drill, not 7, not a checklist. 1, for the next 7 days. Every time you feel the urge to reach out to this person to soothe your own anxiety, you do not reach out. Instead, you take exactly 90 seconds and you write down 3 things. What am I feeling right now? What is the story I'm telling myself that's generating this feeling? And what is one action right now in the next 10 minutes that a person who already believed they were worthy of love would take? And then you do that action. Oh, not tomorrow. Not later. Now. Maybe it's a walk. Maybe it's a workout. Maybe it's calling somebody who lights you up. Maybe it's opening a book you've been avoiding. Maybe it's sitting in silence with a cup of tea and letting the wave move through you without acting on it. 90 seconds, 3 questions, 1 action, 7 days. That is non-negotiable. That is the immutable. Because in 7 days of that drill, something in you will have shifted that no avoidant on this planet will fail to notice. You will have built a new relationship, not with them, but with yourself. And the new relationship you have with yourself is the only relationship that has ever mattered. Now, what does that mean for them? It means you have quietly, without announcing it, changed the field around you. And an avoidant is a very sensitive instrument. They read fields. They read energies. They read whether the person across from them is grasping or grounded. And when the field around you changes, when you stop leaking energy toward them and start pulling it inside yourself, they feel it before you say a word. Some of them will run at first because the change scares them. Let them. A person who runs from your wholeness was never going to stay for your fragmentation anyway. And the ones who are meant for you, the ones whose ego needed exactly this reckoning to grow up, will turn around, walk back, and finally meet you as an adult. Not because you played them. Because you finally stopped playing yourself. You owe it to you. Say that quietly. You owe it to you. Not to them. Not to the 6-year-old version of them that never learned to attach. Not to the version of you that hoped love would finally rescue you. You owe it to the you standing in the mirror tonight to become the person who could not be abandoned in their own life, no matter who else chose to stay or go. Because listen, the hero's journey, and this really is your hero's journey, whether you asked for it or not, begins with a call. The call in your case was pain. The call was this exact person, this exact wound, this exact confusion, and you can refuse the call. Most people do. Most people spend their entire lives outside the cave, wondering why the dragon keeps showing up in every new relationship. Or you can walk in. You can pick up the sword. You can face the dragon, which is never actually the avoidant. The dragon is your own belief that you are only lovable if somebody difficult chooses you. Slay that. Slay it with focus. Slay it with meaning, slay it with action, and you become the hero, not of a fairy tale, of your own life. The one life you were given, the one life that will not come again. And I want you to hear this clearly. Life happens for you, not to you. This avoidant did not enter your life to break you. They entered your life to show you exactly where you were, still abandoning yourself. Every single tear you cried over them was pointing at a place inside you that had never been mothered, never been fathered, never been chosen, and was waiting patiently for you to finally do the choosing. Do it now. Choose you. Not in a bumper sticker way, in a real way, in a boring, unglamorous 3 a.m. way. Choose you when nobody claps. Choose you when nobody sees. Choose you especially when the phone doesn't buzz. And I promise you on everything I have seen in 5 million lives, the moment you become that person, the whole world reorganizes around you, including if it is meant this person you have been aching over. But that's not even the point. That's the bonus. The point is you. The point is who you become in the process of no longer needing them to complete you. Because a person who no longer needs to be completed can be joined. And joining is what love actually is. 2 whole people walking toward each other, choosing each other in the daylight without terror. That is what you are actually reaching for, not this person, not this ache, that. And you can have it. You can have it faster than you think. You can have it the moment you decide. Focus, meaning, action. Again, find something you care about more than winning this person, and you will never be small in front of them again. Find a purpose big enough to hold you when they don't, and you will never be dependent on any human being's inconsistent affection for your sense of self. Give yourself back to yourself. Give the little kid inside you the parent you always wished you had. And watch, quietly, without spectacle, as the avoidant across from you falls, not because you tricked them, but because for the first time in their life, they are standing in front of somebody whose center of gravity is not them. And gravity, remember, is the most attractive force there is. You don't need them to love you madly. You need you to love you honestly. And if you do that, everything else, including them, if they are meant, arrives on its own. You don't experience love. You experience the love you focus on. Focus on your own worth. Focus on your own becoming. Focus on the life you are building, whether they clap or not. And the truth I want you to walk away with, the one I want you to feel in your chest tonight when the room is quiet and the phone is finally still. You were never trying to make them obsessed with you. You were trying to become someone. You were finally obsessed with yourself. Do that. And everything else, my friend, follows. You owe it to you.